nourishing the mind, body, and soul for the Asian diaspora. Have you eaten? Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Have You Eaten? We're so excited to introduce you today to someone very special who has been so incredibly brave in taking a leap forward and doing something that he's really passionate about. And as you know, Have You Eaten is all about reclaiming our narratives and giving space to those who have stories to tell. And Jungwoo Chang joins us today, and he certainly has some stories to tell. So welcome, Jung.
Thank you so much, G, for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. And also, Jung is our second episode of HAPI Mic. And so that will be launching, or it would actually be launching already by the time this airs.
Oh, wow.
So go check it out on HAPI Mic and listen to Jung's beautiful voice. So that said, as you guys probably have already guessed, Jung is a musician. So Jung,
Yes.
the reason why I think you're so brave is that you, and I'm going to let you tell the story, but you essentially left an engineering career to be in music.
Yes.
So tell us about that. Tell us about that in your own words. Like, how did that happen? Like, what drove you to doing music full time? And yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. It was quite a journey, I'd say, in terms of the trajectory of where I saw my life going. Um, should I take it all the way to the beginning to like migrating over to the United States and things like that, or should we just keep it career based for now?
Well, I mean, I would love to dive into your background too. So, but tell us about this switch into going into music, right? Um,
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, tell us whatever you feel comfortable in sharing with us, because I know you did immigrate to the U.S. From Korea. So tell us about that journey, and then we would love to learn more about how you got into switching careers the way that you did. Because I mean, as Asian immigrants, or I'm a child of an Asian immigrant, and I was always brought up to be a doctor, well, until my bio scores came and my grades were really shit. Then it was like, you're going to be a lawyer, and then I switched to a theater major from economics. And then my dad was like, well, you can use that theater degree in the courtroom. So it was always this path that my parents and my dad wanted me to go on. And I also, like you, veered off pretty drastically. And so, maybe where we can start is, where did your love for music stem from? Like, where did that come from?
So my mom has always wanted me to take some form of music in my life growing up. And I was raised in South Korea. And to me, it felt like every friend that I had they took piano lessons and they took taekwondo lessons, like at least those two things right after school. So it was like, I'd say in the community that I grew up in anyway, it was a very commonplace thing to kind of just have some sort of music. Granted, I didn't necessarily fully fall in love with music the way that I did it until I was a freshman in college, because I feel like the music training that I'd done to that point, being classical piano, was very, it felt more like academic in a way, if that makes sense, where it's more like, here's the material, learn it really well, perform it really well at a recital, you get graded. So in terms of like what I really strive to do nowadays, which is to fully express myself using um, everything I know about music in the best way possible, there was none of that really at all. Um, until I was a freshman in college, when I was hanging out with a good friend of mine, and we were just like jamming on guitars, just being obnoxious college freshmen in the halls of the dorms, just strumming our guitars real loud. And he showed me, we were playing along to a song called Slow Dancing in a Burning Room by John Mayer. And he showed me some like cool guitar licks, like some pentatonic scales. And I was like, whoa, like that was so cool. Like it blew my mind. It was like, looking back, it was like such a simple thing to play on the guitar, but something about it just like really grabbed my attention. And then he told me that that was like the blue scale. And I was like, this is all I want to do now. And so, like, starting from then, which was probably 19 years old, freshman year in college, is when I got addicted to like playing around and practicing blues guitar, which kind of was my gateway into the rest of what I feel is more like self-expressive and I guess self-expressive kind of music where you learn tools to empower yourself, to express yourself through songs.
But just going back to your college career, tell everybody what you were going to college for.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I should have probably mentioned that first. When I first went to college, I was a pre-med student, and I was majoring in neuroscience. When I first went in, yeah, and I thought I was gonna do the whole pre-med track because that's what everyone else, that's what all my other friends that I grew up with did. It was very like career based, like take these summer courses to do really well in your SAT, ACT to get into a good college, and then from there just keep building up. And it was like from the environment that I was raised in, it was definitely like the thing to do. Like no one else was doing anything else. It's like, yeah, you study really well, go to good college, and then prepare for med school. And kind of like what you were saying along the lines of like kind of being told what you're gonna be when you grow up. I like heavily relate with that because it was like, I don't think it was necessarily pushed on me, to be fair to my family. But the moment I learned something cool in like a biology class, and I came home and I was like, you know what, being a doctor could be cool. They're like, yes, being a doctor would be very cool. And it was them just like, the moment I had just a smidget of interest, they made it, they were really encouraging that and pushing that. And I always joke and tell my friends, like, yeah, like my mom told me I was going to be a doctor. So that's what I was studying to do. So I did neuroscience I'll study neuroscience through the pre-med track at the University of Michigan when I first got into college. And then it was about 3 years of that and doing the whole thing, like volunteering in hospitals, working in labs. Not necessarily because that's what I was passionate about, regardless of what I might have written in my essays, to get into different programs, being like, this is what I want to do with my life. At that point, I have never just sat down and been like, what do I really want to do with my life? It was kind of just like, it kind of just felt like being in the middle of a race where everyone's like just scattering to go somewhere. And you're like, okay, I guess that's what I'm doing. So I did 3 years of that. And then around my junior year, I was just like, I don't know exactly what it was in me, but I saw my sister graduate and get into med school. She's 2 years ahead of me. She's like the star student and star child, by the way. Like she's like every Asian immigrant mom's dream. Cause like, I mean, she was the one kicking butt and like doing well in all her courses, like getting into great schools and things like that. But that was not for me. So when I saw my sister get into med school, which I feel like that really was her calling, and I saw her really struggle through it and still like really fight to like push through these things that are really difficult, I was like, if she's passionate about it and she's struggling that hard, like how much am I going to be struggling if that's not even what I really want to truly be doing? And so one time at dinner, it was me, my sister, and my mom. And like, thankfully, my sister was already talking about like how her other friends in med school were struggling a little bit. And that kind of gave me a segue to kind of hop up on that and then just be like, basically just say what I told you, which was just like, I don't know if I really want to do med school anymore. Like, I don't know if that's my path. Like, I feel like I can still, and in my head, because the science, med school, academia path was the only thing I knew. My other option wasn't like anything else. It was like, I could still do research in labs. I was like, I don't have to be a doctor. I'll still be like a researcher. And thankfully, my sister was there to kind of back me and be like, yeah, like med school is really hard. Like, you got to really want to really get in. And then my mom seemed to be understanding through that. So it was at that point where I was like, okay, I know I'm a junior in college and I was going to do this whole thing, but maybe this isn't what I want anymore. So I was just like scrambling for a bit. And then my one of my housemates, my friend Kostas, this was like during the summer we're doing internships. I remember going to my lab and making like $9.25 an hour, just counting yeast cells all day. And then my housemate would come home from like his fancy software engineering internships and be like, yeah, I'm making like $42 an hour. I'm like, what are you doing to make that much money? So then in my head at the time, because once again I hadn't really sat down to think about what do I want to do with my life, I was like, I need job security, I need money, because that's a lot of, especially being like immigrants, I feel like those are things you really have to like, it's very drilled into you from your parents. So then I was like, you know what? Let me finish up my neuroscience major and let me finish out my computer science. And then let me start and finish my computer science major. Like, I only had a few more courses to go. So I was like, I'll just do the double major. Might as well have both. I remember going into an advisor's office and talking to him about like adding on a computer science major at my junior year. And they were basically like, don't do it. They were like, do not do it. That's like way too much work. Like, it's not really going to make sense. Like, don't do it. And then I was like, all right. And then I stepped out of the office and I was like, I'm still going to do it. Like, I might as well just try for it.
Well, let's fast forward to when you made that switch, right? Like, it's so funny when you were talking about how your mom was like, you know, or all your friends growing up played an instrument and taekwondo.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was thinking your mom probably wasn't expecting you to become a musician when she told you to take like music, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was to like get into college to put something on your resume. So when you switched and when was that moment where you decided, you know what, all of this other stuff is just noise and I don't want to do any of that. I want to do music. Like, do you remember that moment?
Yes. It was fast forwarding post college when I finished my computer science degree and then got a great job straight out of college. And it was COVID, and so everything was remote at the time. And so I remember having graduated college, having moved to California with my girlfriend at the time, and having this great job, like making a great paycheck. And like something was off. I was like, I feel like this is what you strive for all throughout college, like to do this, to do that, and then like end up in like a nice place with a nice job, like getting nice pay. And like I was like, this is not it. Why is this not it? And I really had some moments to think about it with myself. And I reflected back on the summer before when I was hanging out with some of my friends in like the apartment complex that I lived in. And like all we did was like, and he was in biology too, my friend Harrison. And all we did that summer was just like hang out, play games, listen to music, and just fantasize about how cool it'd be to live a life as a musician. And it was a lot of like talking and being like, yeah, it was just like we would both get really excited about it and be like, can you imagine if we did that? That'd be so cool. And so in that moment later of like feeling like I had everything and feeling not fulfilled, like I wasn't actually doing anything with my life, I was like, wait, why couldn't I just like be a musician, and just like what's stopping me from just going and doing the thing that when I think about it, it makes me so happy. Like I'm fantasizing about this thing that I could actually go out and try to do if I like put in some effort. And so I got really excited about it, and I was like, I think I'm gonna do this. Like I think I'm gonna do this. And I set my mind up to do this thing. I was like, and then so I called my friend Harrison. I was like, dude, remember all those talks we had over the summer? Like, I think I'm gonna really try to pursue a path as a musician. Like, we only live once. We might as well try to do what we love the most and are most passionate about in our lives while we live here. Like, because what else are we here to do?
Yeah.
And
what was
he
his
was like,
response?
Jung, I cannot believe you said that, because I had to talk with my friend last night, and we decided the same thing, to pursue music. Like we were just about to call you and let you know. So it was like everything was synchronized. The universe felt like it was like when I made that call and I got that response from him, it kind of felt like some affirmation from the universe just locking that down and be like, yeah, you're doing like that's the hint that you're on the right thing. It just like made everything, it just really gave me a sense of support, I guess, and confidence to do this thing from the universe. It was like some additional affirmation.
And what was the call to your family like?
The call to my family? Oh,
yeah,
like
to
when
let them know. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, real quick before that, I'll say I still worked the tech job, work from home for about 3 years, working from home while I did the music thing. And it wasn't until recently in January when I left the job. And I didn't tell my parents to do music full time. I left my job to do music full time this past January. And I didn't tell my parents for about a month. And like, I hate keeping things from my parents. Like, well, there's I don't tell them everything about my life, but I feel like in general, like these bigger important things, I want to keep them up to date, but I just couldn't fathom like telling them what the response was. So for a whole month, I was like, they'd be like, "Are you working right now?" And I'd be like, "Yes," and just feel so guilty. But then eventually, like I was actually watching the the Brother Son Netflix show.
Yeah.
He was talking about how he was hiding doing improv classes from his mom because his mom would be disappointed.
Right, I remember
and his
that.
brother looked at him and he was just like, "Well, I'm just a rebel." And he's like, "Well, if you're keeping that from her, like you're not a rebel, you're just a liar." And I was like, is this show talking to me? And I was like, oh, they might be right. So I was like, okay, I gotta tell my parents. So first person I called up was my mom. And I was like, Mom, I have something to tell you. And whenever I say things in that tone, I think my mom has like that motherly sense. And she was very cautious. She's like, "What is it?" And I was like, I quit my job and I'm going to do music full time. I made sure to make X amount of savings. I planned out how long I'm going to do it for. And like, I told her that I feel like everything I'd done to my life at that up till that point, if I really wanted, like, I'm like, you've seen me anytime I really wanted to do something that I would get things done. And I've never wanted anything as bad as this right now. So like I need you to trust me to be able to do this. And at first she seemed like a little hesitant, but then she told me like that was a very brave thing to do, which was like the last thing I thought I'd hear from my mom. I thought she'd be freaking out and I thought she'd be like asking me about backup job plans and things like that. But she just like told me like that was a really brave thing to do. Like I'm and that was kind of it. And she was like being a little careful around it. But she was like, I'll still support you while you figure this whole thing out. Like, and that was that. And so that's all I heard about it from her back then. Yeah. But then later I found out that my mom and my girlfriend were having lunch together. And my mom had confessed to my girlfriend that she, seeing how much I love doing music all this time, that she had always
Mm.
kind of been like rooting for me and cheering me on to be able to make the full leap into
Oh,
it. But like as that Asian like immigrant protective mother, she could never just, you know, tell me to do it. So I think she had been secretly like wanting me to just, you know, live the life that I wanted to live. And so
that's so beautiful.
yeah.
And how did that make you feel? Like what went through your head when you heard that?
I mean, I honestly was like tearing up a little bit, and like I just felt really, yeah. But it's funny because like I feel like I should have known that, like, all I've been very fortunate with my mom, where like all I've ever gotten from her all my life was unconditional love. So
Mm.
I feel like a part, sometimes I'm like, maybe it was silly to think that she wouldn't have been supportive, but I think yeah, it just felt like it was all this pressure of like, but I spent all my life growing up, like all the like tutoring classes she had me go to, like now it feels like it'll have been for nothing. Like I can't imagine how she might feel like trying to raise a child one way for them to go pursue something else.
But
But
it's
I
not
was,
a though because you were very methodical in how you made the switch, right?
mm,
Like you
yeah,
saved up and you thought about it
hmm,
and it feels like what you said earlier, the universe had a path for you.
hmm,
And I think that's
yeah,
so just amazing and beautiful. That's, not everyone can see that that the path has been kind of paved by the universe
hmm,
that way.
yeah.
And
I'm
I
very
certainly
grateful.
believe in it. Yeah. I
Yeah,
certainly believe in universe and like, things happen the way they're supposed to, not
yeah,
necessarily the way that we want them to, but the way they're
yeah,
supposed to. So you're destined to be a musician.
yes. Yeah, I very
um,
much believe in all the universe stuff too. I just think sometimes we're fortunate enough to see things that, at least in ways that make sense to us anyway, that like
yeah.
we're on the right track.
Well, I think we have to be self-aware and we have to not only be self-aware but also be aware of what's happening around us because
Hmm.
we can there's so many people who are so blind to things
Yeah.
that you just kind of get hit over the head with it and
Hmm.
they still don't know what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
um
I think I think we all kind of, I think the only way we make our lives have any meaning is to kind of assign meeting ourselves. And you're right, if we're
mm,
not like very vigilant of everything that's going around us, or like just repeating patterns that we're seeing in our lives, it's very easy to, you know, be hit over the head with something unexpected or things like that.
yeah. Let's talk about your music a little bit
Hmm.
because I had the pleasure of being at the shoot, the Happy Mike shoot, and
That was so
watching
much
you
fun.
perform. And
Thank you.
it was a lot of fun. And I've been telling my friends about you and telling everyone
Yay.
about you, and about
Thank
the
you.
shoot. And we have
Hmm.
some mutual friends as well that were asking about how the shoot went.
Hmm.
And I was like, the dude sounds like an Asian John Mayer.
Good job, man.
I was like, his voice is so beautiful, but it's not
Thank you.
exactly like John Mayer, right? But it's
Hmm.
like very just
Heavily inspired, I
heavily
would say.
inspired, but just like beautiful,
Thank you.
just beautiful sounding. Who else has been your influence? I know John Mayer has been a big influence of yours.
Yeah, I think John Mayer is definitely the stepping off point for getting the courage to do the whole music thing. Nowadays, I've been really into, oh my gosh, Keshi. Um,
Mm,
Keshi is great. Um, and I'm into like maybe like alt R&B, sad boy ish kind of things like Christian Kuria, Kamal, Cautious Clay, just to name a few. But yeah, I just really like um, singer songwriter. I like it's like late night drives, reflecting back on your own life. kind of music, if that
I
makes
could see
sense.
that. I could totally see
Um,
that.
but yeah, that's what I've been into lately.
And you write
Um,
all your music, right?
yes, well, that's the other thing too. I love good guitar players, singers, and writers. And if
Mm,
they happen to be all three, it's like, yeah, that's how you know you kind of have a jackpot of an artist. And I really look up to artists that can do those three things like in a very tasteful way.
yeah. Are there local artists that you look up to or inspire you?
Oh yeah, my friend Kennedy, the Wren, Wren.
Mm,
She's been, I don't know, she kind of just recently started to go full out in music as well, and she's just kicking butt. Like she, the things that she does for her music and the quality of everything she puts out, and just like the obvious and evident passion that she has for her music, and like getting this thing off the ground is like so admirable. Every time I go see her, every time I go talk to her, like I feed that I feel that energy off of her, and it like burns another fire
mm,
inside me. So Kennedy's great. Cole Swenson, my first producer, singer songwriter. Uh, he's great too. Man, who else? Yeah, there's so
there's,
many.
yeah.
There's so many, but people in the scene. I really appreciate everyone that I can kind of look up to as role models.
Mm,
Almost like it's very. They always kind of not humble me, but like they always give me perspective to see that I can always be reaching higher.
mm.
Um, yeah.
Oh, man, the amount of bravery, and I know we've said that word a few times, and just I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe. Like, I mean, everything. It's bold. I mean, I think that's another word to use is bold.
Mm.
Not everyone will travel down the road that you have,
Hmm.
and so I commend you and I applaud you for taking that big leap and doing something that you really, really love.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I've also been so fortunate and grateful that everything in my life has put me in positions where I, can get a college education, can get a job, can move out somewhere, and then can have a job that like pays me enough for me to start making savings and things like that.
yeah. Oh, by the way,
Hmm.
I think the last time we saw each other, there was a name that I needed you to call me, which was Nuna,
Oh
because you're
yeah,
also Korean.
yes, yes, Nuna.
So yeah, I know we're going backwards, but I think our audience would love to hear like your background. So
Hmm.
you're Korean American.
Yes,
Um, yeah,
I'm a
tell us that
Korean
story.
American. Yeah, so I was born in Seoul, Korea, and I did most of my growing up. Well, no, I did my all of my childhood growing up until I was 7 or 8 years old in Korea. Um, and yeah, I'm not too sure what else to say about my life in Korea
Well,
because it's so.
what I find interesting is that you went from Korea to the Midwest.
Uh huh. Is
And
that like a?
I always find that so interesting because I mean, when we immigrated here, we came
Uh,
by way of Honolulu to Southern California. So
mm,
so in my mind, I'm like, that's just how everyone comes is through Hawaii and then to California and then
mhm.
people go to New York. And I don't. Whenever I hear people migrating to places like the Midwest, I'm like, well, how did you guys end up there?
That
So
is an
how did you end
interesting
up
point.
there?
I've never thought about it like that. Well, my mom's sister, my aunt, was already living in the U.S.
Mm,
and I believe she was working at the University of Michigan.
mm,
Um, and so like she had been settled down there with her family. with my uncle and my cousins. And so when my when my mom was looking to get my sister and me an education in the United States, this was like the perfect opportunity because my aunt was like, "Hey, we have a spare bedroom. You guys can just come live with us."
Yeah.
It was actually coming out of my parents' divorce at the time, so it was kind of like my mom just wanting to, uh, yeah, I guess just to move away and just like get a new life started for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so grateful for my aunt and my uncle who took us in, because I hear these other stories of how like other options for um, people that don't live in the U.S. to come to the U.S. and get an education and like live here and have like, I don't know, someone to look after them. Like it's a lot that goes in and a lot of money. And I hear about other people that have um, they have these programs that they take kids in and like they look after them, and it's like a place kind of like an exchange program, except it's like a lot of money sent from the
Yeah.
parents.
I grew up in Southern California where, and when I was in high school, there were a few Korean kids actually who were sent here by themselves. And I remember thinking, oh my God, you're living alone in an apartment?
Yeah,
Like that was nuts to me. Like,
yeah,
so, but it happens, to get the education and to get the opportunities. People who have the means, will do that.
yeah.
Um,
Our family definitely did not have the means, but we had a way, thankfully. So
yeah.
yeah, hearing other people's stories kind of just puts my own story into perspective, and it makes me even more grateful that I even got to come here and have a place to stay. Uh, yeah,
I again just cannot commend you enough for just taking the brave step into, taking ownership of your life, but again, you set it up, you set up how um the possibility of you being a musician, like all the road leading up to now,
Mhm.
so I don't want you to forget that.
Thank you, G. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
um
yeah, it's been an interesting path for sure.
Yeah, and the team here at Hello Happy is definitely a big fan of your music, big fan of you as a musician. We can't wait to see where you go, and remember us, remember the little people when you become big.
No, you guys,
Remember your Nuna.
we're both gonna be big. This is like I told you this before, but this is gonna be like being on the first season of Hot Ones,
Yeah,
and just be like, wow, look, I was on that show
exactly.
before it blew up.
Well, so we are doing something new today,
Mm-hmm.
testing it with you, but we have this jar of questions. I don't know what the
Amazing.
questions are.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to we're going to pull out, let's see. I want you to pick a number between 3 and 10.
I'm gonna go 7.
Okay. So we're going to divide that by 2,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Three
not
and a
an even
half.
number.
We
So
just
we're going
round
to do,
up.
yeah.
Call it
So we're going
4.
to do 4 questions.
Okay.
And I just totally made that up too.
On the spot, on the
Okay.
fly.
All right. So these are fun questions, and these are from our team.
Cool.
Um, oh, what's your favorite non-English speaking TV or movie?
Parasite came to mind, but I feel like that's such a basic Korean American answer to
No,
give
it's
Parasite.
not. Parasite. Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So are you a horror movie fan? Thriller?
I'm not. Those things scare me. I had such a crazy experience watching Parasite because like I knew nothing about it when I went into the theaters. Like it was like a Thursday night and I was like busy with things and my housemate was like, dude, I was gonna go watch this Korean American movie that's playing in the state theater, but I can't go. Do you want my tickets? And I was like, sure, I'll take them. And it was like I mean, if you've seen Parasite, you know how much of a role. Like, I didn't even know it was a horror movie. Like, I was like, because when you first watch the movie, it's like, oh, it's like a fun, happy movie, and then it takes all these twists and turns. I'm so grateful to my friend Jack for giving me those tickets. Like, when I had no knowledge about it, because sometimes like watching movies, it's a lot more fun to not know anything about it going in if it's going to be a good movie.
You know what I do sometimes? And I look up in Wikipedia and I read the ending.
Before you go watch the movie? Why?
I don't know. I don't know why I do. And then depending on what I read, I decide whether I want to go see it or not.
Oh, okay. So are you... My mom might kind of be the same person where she doesn't like to watch a movie until she knows it's going to be like not a sad or bad end.
Oh no, I love horror movies.
Oh, okay.
I just don't want to see any animals suffer.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But man, you throw some zombies in there and some eating brains, I'm all about it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So second question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what was the last song you listened to?
Let me look on my Spotify. I'm not sure. I really have no idea. Wait, can I see a history real quick? Listening history. Tiptoe by HYBS. It's a great song. Everyone should check it out.
Very cool. All right. Number 3. Do you play any sports?
I did Taekwondo growing up. I played soccer until high school, and I tried to learn tennis, but right now I don't play any sports. Okay.
I guess you get enough exercise strumming your guitar.
I guess so. It's a good arm workout.
So our team wants to know, how do you de-stress or relax?
I play games with my girlfriend on our Switch, or just watch silly cartoons. I guess spending time with my girlfriend is great.
Nice. Well, those are your 4 questions. Thank you for partaking in that first test run of our question jar.
Yes, of course.
We need a name for that jar. So we'll think about it. Okay. Email me.
I got you. Thank you. I'm honored to be the first.
Yeah, but this was so fun. Thank you so much for being a guest today. I am so honored to know you and now call you my friend, and you're Nuna. And and I just can't wait to see where you go. I can't wait to see how big you're going to blow up. And everybody go watch Happy Mike with Jung and just fall in love with his voice like we all did. So thank
you so much, G, for having me on this show. Thank you for all your kind words, and thank you for believing in me. Your support and belief in me is another pillar that I can lean on to draw strength from to keep going in this musical career. So thank you to you and your whole team, Kyle and Danielle as well, for being so supportive. And thank you, G, for setting all of this up and getting Hello Happy going. I think it's it's about time we have a lot more representation and showing off of Asian American talents. And thank you for creating a platform to be able to do that. And it's really, really cool what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. And where can listeners find you?
You can find me on any streaming platform. I am under my artist name, Jaywoozy. That's JAYWOOZY. And then you can follow me on my socials at jung.guitar. That's JUNG.guitar.
Amazing. Well, that's all the time that we have today, unfortunately. And so thank you so much for joining us today. And I'm so happy that you got to meet my new friend, Jung. So go listen to him. You're going to thank me later. And until next time, I hope your stomachs and your hearts stay full. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hello, HAPI fam. Thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell. And until next time, I hope your bellies and your hearts stay full.